Hello, good morning, everybody, and welcome to TechTable Talks. This morning, we have Advisor Websites joining us, and Kelly Gibson is here to talk about different tips and tricks for website management. And just to start to introduce myself here, my name is Jacob Wagner, and I'm the principal of Wagner Communication Systems, and what we do is provide technology, solutions, and strategies to financial planners. This is both in the realm of the technology that you use as tools to support your practice, as well as online reputation assessments that make it so that you can pick the right strategy that you want to have on the internet, which is a part of what we're talking about today. So Kelly, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Jacob. Thanks for having me. So my name is Kelly Gibson, and I am the marketing writer here at Advisor Websites. We build compliant, beautiful-looking websites for people in the financial services industry. I spend a lot of my day sort of writing about different tips and tricks and tools for how you can get found online, look good online, excellent tools that you can use. So I'm really excited to be here to actually have a chance to kind of talk about these things.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome. We're glad that you're here. And just to kick everything off a little bit, Kelly, can you let us know what's on the agenda for today?
So today we are going to talk about why a website matters to your firm, why exactly it is that you need to have a website, what prospective clients are looking for on your website when you actually get one up and running, and how to definitely exceed those expectations. We're also going to talk about how you can turn your website into the hub of your entire online presence, and then go through a bunch of tips and tools in particular for managing your practice and presence online, because the more you can automate things, definitely the better it's going to be.
And something I wanted to ask the group as a point of procedure, we're covering, this is an overview, and so there's a lot of content. And so if you have a question on any of the slides, just on the right side of your window, you have a question and answer box. Just put your questions in there. We might get in and be able to work it into the presentation, but if not, we'll be getting to it at the end during the Q&A.
All right, so first of all, we need to talk about why it is a website is so important to your firm. And the reason for that is because today online activity is changing. The average American spends about 60 hours a week online. What this means is that no matter what your target audience is online. And so that is where you need to be. First of all, what this really means is that people are going to Google you. That's the first thing they're going to do. If you are online and they need to find you, a prospect is going to type your name in and they're going to see what comes up. A lot of people talk about how they mostly deal with referrals, and that maybe having a website isn't that important because they're getting straight up referrals from family and friends. And what's important to remember here is that even if you are getting referred by someone, that individual is still going to try and find what they can online from you.
And also, ideally, the first thing they're going to do is put in your name into Google. Ideally, they're going to find you. And then the next steps that are going to happen is that they're going to check out your firm website. And so you want to make sure that you want to see what they're going to find, and you want to have a great, clean-looking website so that way you start to court and build that trusted relationship between this prospect and you as their advisor.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what do you hope that people are going to find? Well, hopefully you are going to be making a good first impression. First impressions are so important, especially when it comes to your website. When we are looking at a website, our first opinions form within about 3 seconds. And if you have, like our links car example here on the left, if you have an incredibly busy, very dramatic looking website, people are going to bounce away. They're not going to spend the time to really look at your website. They're going to bounce away and they're not going to come back. So it really doesn't matter, how great your content is. If your website makes that really terrible visual first impression, it's kind of over for you even before it has a chance to start. We kind of have the saying around here, where we talk about a well-designed website is like a well-designed suit. It sort of imbues the owner with a sense of respectability and professionalism. Because the first impression is now with the client happening online, you have to really translate, verbal and visual cues that you would be, tactics that you would be, trying out in person, those have to translate online as well. And so if you wouldn't show up to your business meeting in a pair of pajamas, hopefully your website also doesn't look like, the online equivalent of a pair of pajamas, I suppose. So if you look at, we've got a perfect example of an excellent looking website here on the right from Private Wealth Management. Layout is really beautiful, not a lot of content. It's not an overwhelming site. So it definitely makes a great first impression and gives online visitors the chance to really dive in and take a look and learn about what the firm is all about. So we're just going to really quickly kind of go over a few things that we're going to help your website make that great first impression. And first on the list is the colors that you choose. Colors really set the mood of how your website looks. It could either evoke a kind of warm and inviting feel or a cool and professional feel. Definitely you want to avoid really bright colors like we saw in that Lynx car example. You want to have something that's warm, very nice, and yeah, something that's not really going to like turn people away. We also
that I see in these regards is that it's great to have consistency with your colors, that your colors are a part of your branding, and that by having 2 to 3 picked colors, that what you can then do is you can take that set palette to a designer, and you can, and as you turn to graphic designers, they'll be able to get off to the races a little bit quicker. And I don't know if anyone's heard of a website called Fiverr. I love it. It's kind of like a virtual version of the dollar store, only everything's $5. And you can get everything from logos to videos made. But you also need to convey what it is that you want built right the first time. You don't get too many revisions. And so having something like, hey, here, these are the cues that I would like, is going to make it a lot more likely that someone's going to come back to you with the product you're looking for.
One place that we really recommend that people start at is your logo. Your logo is a great place to start. And if you don't feel that your logo colors are perfect for your entire online presence, definitely try and integrate them as much as you can. We like to talk about images. So images are really important for what you put on your slides. You want to have the images tied to you and your firm in an authentic and personal way. And so what we mean by that is absolutely, please try and stay away from stock images. We have an example here on the left. Actually, it's quite hard to tell, but there are 2 famous actors in that photo. It's Vince Vaughn and Dave Franco. But you kind of can't really tell because it's such an impersonal, cold image that all personality, all warmth, all individuality is really just stripped away from the image. On the left, or on the right, sorry, we have Jennings and Associates. They have a fantastic team photo that really is just so warm and inviting. It really just makes you guys want to pick up a phone, give them a call, because these are the people that are going to be on the other end of that phone call from you. Also, when it comes to images, we try and say that, please try and reimagine retirement. So everyone's retirement looks a little bit different. So if your website has a lot of photos of sort of, the silver-haired couple on a beach, not everyone's retirement is going to look like that. So definitely try and incorporate real photos of real people, especially team photos. That's kind of one of the big takeaways that I'd like to kind of impress upon you all.
And something else that I've found with clients is just, making sure to represent your team is mission critical, as Kelly's saying. But also, if you have a theme for your company, if it's, whether it's compasses or Scrooge McDuck, bring them into your website somehow. Bring that into your theming, even if it's just a blog post. But it'll help extend that in-office experience onto your virtual presence.
Yeah, absolutely. The point of your website is really, you want a great professional looking website, but you also want a website that really speaks to who you are as a firm and, conveys your unique value proposition as well. And so the more that you can stand out, the more that you look different from kind of every other website, that's really going to be a key component to getting people to stick around and want to learn more about you. And your images are definitely a great way to do that if you tie them to your firm. So next on the list is another important thing that your website should be dealing with. I think we've gone a little bit too far, Jacob. We're on to typography.
Which slide?
The typography slide, which seems to have disappeared, I guess.
Yeah, give me a second. Where is the typography slide? It got moved.
All right, well, I'll just talk about it anyway for right now. Typography is definitely, so typography or the type font is definitely something that you guys really need to choose well. So if color kind of sets the mood of your website, then your typography is really going to set the tone. How people can read your message is going to be very important. And so there are definitely different types of fonts that will sort of read very differently to some people. So you definitely want to stay away from a veranda font. So if you can remember back to our Lings slide, it used a variety of different veranda fonts, which are not the easiest fonts to read. Whereas a serif font is definitely an easier, smoother, there we go, better looking type of font. People can scan it better. I've just put a picture with the cats up here just to kind of really show, you know, exactly how typography can really kind of evoke a type of mood with your copy. So hopefully we are back up and running at this point.
We are. I had the camera on you for just a second, but we're on track and the slides are reordered.
Okay. So definitely these are kind of like three big key things that people are going to be looking at your website when they first arrive there. So what else are they going to be looking for though? Your website is definitely not just about looks. It's going to be a whole lot more that you need to find. So your online presence is definitely more than just your website. So if you can kind of move on to the next slide, which hopefully...
Sure, and just something I wanted to say is that my personal opinion here is that you want to sculpt your online presence. That it's something that you don't want to overcommit and have work that is possibly not driving ROI that's hanging over you during the week. But at the same time, you don't want to have too small of a presence and then have either false positives, people have named similar to you, you know, whatever. You need to have enough presence to show up, but you don't want to have more than you can handle.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely we want to talk a little bit about usability as well. So your layout on your website should be making good use of white space. Navigation should be a breeze. Like these are all little key tidbits that your website really needs to have and be able to function well for your clients to kind of understand who you are as a firm.
Yeah, and you just, you know, the thing is that people are expecting to have their hands be held with their user experience at this point. If you have to have someone actually make a decision, the decision they're likely to make is to close the window.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we might be back on video again right now. I think it might be on my face this time.
I don't think so. Guys, can we get a... I'm here. Hi, everybody. Good morning. And I'm going to go back to the screen share here.
Sorry about these technical issues. Okay, so hopefully we're back up and running here again. So consumer behavior is definitely changing online. Before, people used to find you via really traditional marketing tactics like cold calling and television ads and direct mail campaigns, and they're just not effective as they used to be because today people are trying to find you via many different methods. So they want to find you on your social media platforms. They're going to find you on YouTube. They're going to be scouring the internet for all kinds of different ways to look at you. And part of this is because in the absence of sight and sound, so garnering our first impression is no longer in person. So we need to kind of make up for that lack of information before we can really trust someone that we have essentially met online, which is why we are going to try and find as many things about you, which is why your online presence is really about more than just your website. So if you head to the next slide, Jacob.
Sure. Just So something else that I wanted to comment on, just this traditional method versus today, that
Yeah.
it's ironic, but we used to use the yellow pages for everything. Now everyone's Googling the yellow pages and looking that up. And a lot of times folks are just using Google. But one of the tips and tricks I wanted to include for everybody here was the fact, make sure to sign up for YP.com. They give out listings for free. And it depends on the area. Here in Oregon, there's more folks listed, but where I lived in Denver a year ago, there aren't that many planners who are listed in yellow pages, and you might as well have that avenue out there. Part of it is having the ability for people to find you wherever they show up to consume and find your services.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely getting found online is hugely important. And then once you're found online, it's kind of like, what are people going to see? So your online presence really makes up your website, your social media profiles like LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus if you've got that. Also, your online publications. If you are writing for something like the Wall Street Journal or financial planning, people are going to be interested to look for you there as they type in your name. They're going to hope that these sort of things show up. They're also going to be looking for professional profiles like you can find on Brightscope, and also user reviews like Angie's List and Yelp, which you might not necessarily have complete control over, but it's good to know. I think that everyone after this webinar should definitely go on and try and Google yourself and see what shows up and where you show up. We talked to a lot of people that, they only have a website, and so they're not entirely worried about, what else is happening online. But sometimes it's actually, having no other online presence can be just as detrimental to having a bad one, because at the end of the day, people really do want to find you online. They want to kind of piece together, the story that is you, and make sure that you are credible and trustworthy.
Absolutely. And just as we look through these different components of your online presence, you're in control of some of these, you're in less control of others, and you're in no control of some of them. You're in control of your website. That's what you have as your chief, principally in your wheelhouse. And your social media profiles, you can control some, but you can't control what someone else replies to on a Facebook post, whatever have you. And hopefully the reporters are showing you off pretty well as you're getting quoted. But one of the important notes on something like Angie's List or Yelp is that these are third-party review sites, and so that makes it so they are compliant, because you have no part in whether someone goes to these sites to put up a review of you. Also do suffer if that's a poor review. Conversely, on something like LinkedIn, in general, it's a bad idea to have, if you're a regulated individual, turn off all skills and testimonials. That's a really important part of the process. And the other part of this is that, the ostrich strategy isn't an adequate approach. You can't just pretend that the internet's not there and that it's not going on, because, well, you are on the internet, even if you don't want to be. There's these review sites like Yelp. There's also Financial Advisor Network. There's a number of different groups where they'll go in and they're trying to find every planner that they can. They're even going into the SEC advisor search and just listing people. And so you want to know what's out there. You know what people are going to find that's good. You want to know what people are going to find that's bad. But principally, you want to know what they're going to find, and you want to be found. You don't want your online footprint to be either too big or too small. If you're on Facebook and you're commenting on your grandbaby's photos and you don't do anything else with your social media presence, there's a chance when someone goes to research you, they're going to find that part of your life. If you're totally comfortable with that, and that's great, then have at it. But a lot of planners that I talk to, they view Facebook as this place of sanctity where they can keep their personal lives. And so if you want that to happen, you definitely need to have enough of an internet presence so that when someone does a professional search for you, they find that and they don't find the rest of your image. At the same time, as I mentioned earlier, you don't want it to be too big or you're going to be sloppy. If you have so many different channels going on that you're not going to be able to maintain the relationships and cultivate, and you've overcommitted, and that actually looks almost worse than not being found. This isn't a colleague, this is a colleague, not a client, but I don't want to say his name, but he has a heck of a false positive. Let's just call him Mike Smith CFP. And we were just talking on the phone. And I'm like, I want to see what your web presence is like. And I looked it up, looked him up, and I put in Mike Smith CFP into Google, and I found another one. And that means that these two guys are intrinsically in competition with each other. They're in different states, but they're in the same profession with the same name, and so they're almost sharing their internet presence. And you want folks to know that they found you. You know, they don't want to find someone with your same name, but there's crazy college drunken pictures, or they got arrested, or, you know, who knows what. But it's about making sure that you know what's out there and choosing this adequate strategy that's right to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely your online presence is something that you should be like closely monitoring and keeping an eye on. And also, sort of, we talk about your online presence. It involves a lot: social media, you know, places where you're published online. But really, at the end of the day, your website should be that centralized hub of your entire online presence. People kind of need a jumping off point to go to these things. So your website needs to be linked. It needs to have links to your social media accounts. If you're published in the Wall Street Journal, make sure that those publications are linked to, you know, put up a logo saying that you're, you know, also featured here, and make it really easy for people to go to those places, to check those things out, to look at them. It's also saying that you are interested in being contacted, you know that you're credible, you are giving people the information to go find you, you want them to find you online. And then once they get to those places, it's so important that you then be able to link them back to your website. So all of your social media profiles, like LinkedIn, should absolutely have your website. Again, so that your website is definitely this place where all roads come back and they leave and they circle through, but your website is definitely that one centralized hub. So we're going to talk a little bit about some tools that can really help you manage that online presence, because you need to have a lot. Your website needs to be doing a lot of things, and it can be a little bit overwhelming. So we're just going to bring you through a few tools to really help you kind of, you know, automate things and make your life a lot easier. So the first one we're going to talk about centralizes around content. So content is extremely important for your firm. And a lot of times when we talk about content, what we're really talking about is blogging. Blogging is so good for both readers, they love reading fresh content, and also for search engine optimization, for SEO. That's how one of the ways that you get found online is by having great content, so that Google bots are out there constantly searching for it. We also found that in 2010, HubSpot did a study that's found that business-to-client companies that maintain a blog will generate 88% more leads per month than don't. So if you're not blogging, if you're not making use of this fantastic inbound marketing strategy, as we know, cold calling and traditional outbound tactics aren't working, the blog is really what's going to, you know, help that along. But again, creating this fresh content constantly is not always that easy. So we've got to play a company like Marketing Pro. And Marketing Pro, they have new content on a weekly basis. They've got hundreds of financial articles that you can choose from, many of which are definitely pre-reviewed by a compliance department. And the great thing about them is that before you publish them to your website, content can be customized, you know, with your logo and your branding. You can edit it to sort of fit your target audience and fit what it is that you would like to say, to really kind of stand out again, and just sort of get it out there. So communication, definitely very, very important, whether it's through educational articles or newsletters or emails. These are really important to your firm's success. They're definitely going to help convey your firm's unique value and really cement you as you know, a knowledgeable, credible individual that people are going to want to learn from.
And just to mention a couple of the other companies that do something kind of like Marketing Pro, there is also HubSpot and eMarketeer are both groups that serve similar purposes here. And just, you know, the automation is great. And the more that you have this stuff automated, the more that it works for you. And, you know, that you want some of this to be advantaged with scheduling, but also any interaction that you can have that's a planned interaction that you're building up with clients, like when they get on your list and you have, you know, several emails that you send them. And we'll get to the email marketing here in just a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. So another different kind of content. So there's definitely the content that you write, the content that shows your own knowledge and what you have to contribute. But then there's also the kind of content that really just shows that your website is this sort of hub and source of just all kinds of information. And so Vesterly is a really great choice for adding something really sleek and professional looking and allowing viewers to kind of get different sources of online publications that you can choose from, such as like the New York Times and Wall Street Journal. And definitely also when, readers click on these links, these articles will be customized with your brand, which is really awesome. So it definitely keeps you top of mind when users are browsing through these other online publications through Vesterly. Keeps them sort of tied and connected to you, and so that they remember you, and that you're kind of giving them this gateway to more kinds of information. Vesterly's also found that a personalized content feed on your website is actually 7 times more likely to capture leads than a traditional contact form. So in order to kind of access these feeds, your web visitors are going to have to fill in their email address, which is going to be a great way to kind of get a lead from it as well.
And Vesterly services like this are awesome, but they don't replace your personality. No. What they do is that they're a beautiful supporting spoke to your web presence, that your website is the hub for your internet presence, and that this is one of those spokes going out. It's wonderful, but you want to make sure that you're still putting your personality out there. And the other thing about something like Vesterly is that they're letting you know what people are clicking on, what they're sharing. It's branded to you, which is wonderful, but make sure to look at what a lead, if someone comes into your office and they've been using your Vesterly service and they're looking at all sorts of tax articles and they're not looking at your retirement planning articles, you have a little bit of an ability to know where to send that conversation. And that's one of the places that these tech tools can give you insights and leverage.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, like you said, if you're finding people that are, clicking mostly on those articles, then, when you've got some time to sit down and create one of your own articles for your blog, it can be based along, what that people are clicking, and really tailor it to your audience. And that's something that, your online visitors are really going to enjoy quite a bit. So definitely content, fantastic. But you can't have great content and then not do anything with it. So we need to really talk about content sharing, modes of content sharing. And right now, email marketing is still the most used and trusted source of communication. It's not going down. It's not being replaced by anything else at this time. Even though there are definitely more modes of communication out there, email is still exactly, right on top. It's what we call stickier than social media, in the sense that a tweet goes out to the Twitterverse and then it's gone. It sort of has a lifespan of about a minute, maybe 2, and then it's done. It's also more precise than a blog post. So when you're writing your blog articles, you're kind of, as much as you want to speak to your target audience, you actually don't really necessarily know who is going to be showing up to read those articles. Whereas with your email, you know that you are sending it to a specific list. And this way you can kind of speak to people who you're a little bit more familiar with. But again, email marketing can be time consuming. And so MailChimp provides a really awesome service to get your content out, distribute it perfectly. You can definitely automate it so that it captures your blog content every time you post a blog, and will send it to your subscribers in the form of an email newsletter, which you can set on a daily, weekly, or monthly schedule so that you're not exhausting your email list. And we use MailChimp here at Advisor Websites, and I'm not, as much as I work for a tech company, I wouldn't say I'm the most tech savvy individual, but MailChimp is so incredibly easy to use and design that you can design your newsletter around your company colors in order to maintain and match your firm's unique branding, which again is also really, really important.
And they also have a bunch of great, I want to use the term sanity check, I guess.
Yes.
If they go in and that they check, and if there's a section on your template that you haven't completed yet, they're actually checking that before sending, that they're also, they'll show you what your message looks like on various devices. And their MailChimp is really great at making the process user-friendly. There's a lot of vendors out there. There's MailChimp, there's Aweber, there's more expensive services like Infusionsoft or Ontraport. And in all of these, if you want to have something that was automated, like I was mentioning a few minutes ago, you're going to pay something. Something like MailChimp, it could be as little as like $10 to $30 a month, depending on how many contacts you have. Infusionsoft or Ontraport, there's more of a couple $100s a month, but they actually provide like an e-commerce component to it, the ability to schedule with third parties. And so, it's also about understanding how much service you want to give. We wanted to suggest MailChimp because of its user friendliness. But we also want to just, as a part of this section, communicate with you that with email marketing, you have a captive audience. And so you want to keep them engaged, and you also want to make sure to educate them. This is where you have folks that you're building a relationship with, and so take advantage of it. Don't be afraid of it, but also don't waste it at the same time. This is a wonderful opportunity, and you want to continue to build your relationship with the person. All of your content is the cornerstone of you building a trusted client-advisor relationship. It's the stuff that happens before you actually start into engagement, but then after you are engaging with a client and they're on board, this is one of the ways that you're going to continue to stay in touch with them and stay relevant and keep providing value to them.
Especially today, we're kind of in the midst of what has been adorably named, the robo takeover. And I think, in the face of that, in the face of kind of all of this technology that's really coming in and kind of taking out the middleman, which is the advisor, that taking advantage of tools that can then make the relationship that you have with your clients that much stronger is going to be an excellent way of maintaining your kind of permanence and reality in this new changing financial landscape. So definitely an emphasis on consumer relations is going to be huge moving forward. And email marketing is kind of one of those ways that you can really maintain that strong relationship.
And one last point to email marketing, we're all on a whole heck of a lot of email lists. And I don't know about you guys, but I actually have a separate email address for the ones that I care about enough that I haven't unsubscribed, but I don't want to check every single day. And frankly, I still never check that stuff. It's really important. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to underdo it. This is why you want to be educating your audience. But if someone isn't clicking on your email, why you want to be watching your statistics, and you're like, okay, this person's just not interested. Get them out of there. Take them off of that list and make another one where it's it's a group that you remarket to once every quarter or 6 months and just try to send them something of value. But it's not good to annoy somebody. It's certainly not going to build up that trusted client advisor relationship. So if they're not interested, get them out of there and move on.
Yeah, absolutely. So back to content distribution, definitely email marketing is great, but social media is going to be, it's quite important. Again, social media is where your clients spend their time, and not everyone is on every platform. So picking a platform that you think is going to be, best for you in terms of where your target audience is going to be very important, so you can kind of spend your time there. In terms of getting your content out there, it really showcases it to a wider audience than your email marketing can do. Because again, your email marketing is where people have, expressly signed up for that. They've said, yes, I want this content, please send it to me. Whereas social media can be a magical, wonderful tool that, just one person retweets an article that you've written, and it is then thrust in front of all of their followers and people that didn't even know that you were out there. Also, it's really important to have this kind of social presence because Google has what's called social authority kind of built into their algorithm, which says that if you have an article that is getting a lot of social media likes and shares and clicks, that's going to help rank higher in search engine optimization. And so, it really helps you get your online presence out there and searchable if you have the social media presence. But again, managing these things is kind of time consuming and not always the easiest. So one of the tools that we kind of recommend is definitely Hootsuite. Hootsuite it's a dashboard that allows you to manage all of your social media needs in that one place. So you can view your Twitter, your Facebook, your LinkedIn, all in this one place, and keep tabs on your entire social media presence. It will monitor activities such as likes and retweets, and will allow you to actually schedule your articles in advance to free up times during the day. I know that if you run your whole social media presence, it can be really distracting to have to kind of come in throughout the day to just update things here and there. But having the ability to pre-program basically, so you can fix it and forget it and kind of just check in maybe once or twice, is going to be a really awesome thing for you to get out there.
So a couple of comments on Hootsuite and specifically their business model. And with their business model, they're a freemium model. And so you can go to their website and you can sign up for their basic services right after this call. And they have a pro service and an enterprise service. I use the pro, and they're here to make money. And what they do is that one of the features that Kelly just talked about, that scheduling feature, that happens when you start to get into their paid services, but I highly recommend those paid services. One, it does allow you to do this scheduling, and it actually has some algorithms or something in there where it'll figure out the right times to send out a post and tune that so that you're going to expose your tweet to more people. But then also they have a little add-on that you can add to Chrome called Hootlet, and Hootlet shows up everywhere. It shows up on YouTube, it shows up in Facebook, it shows up on the Journal, on financialplanning.com. And if I think that something's interesting, I can just click on the little Hootlet article that I'm in the middle of reading, and I can either send it off to one or all of my social networks, or I can schedule it for later. Another comment about something like Hootsuite, because it is so powerful and it can hit all of your networks at once, is that you don't want to use the same messaging for all of your networks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and if you put out the same message on Facebook that you do on Twitter, Twitter has all these hashtag things and all the rest of it. And if you're on Twitter, you know what that means, and it doesn't bother you. But on Facebook, that can cause someone's eyes to glaze over even quicker and not engage your audience.
Absolutely. Yeah, your messaging is definitely, while we talk about being consistent with your messaging, that is so important. You don't want to be, saying all sorts of different things. Consistency is key, but consistency also doesn't mean like the same. And so if people are going to be clicking through all your different social media sites, they're not going to have as great of time if they're literally seeing, verbatim posts in each thing. So definitely want to mix it up a little bit while staying kind of, consistent in your general messaging. So kind of our next on the list here in terms of things that your website definitely needs to have, or your firm needs to have in order to manage, your entire online presence, is a CRM system. It's really kind of the cornerstone piece of technology that you should have. You're out there creating all this content, and then you're distributing it, and you're gathering all of these amazing leads from all this hard work that you're doing. Your CRM system is really going to help you maintain those healthy, happy client relationships. It's going to enhance the relationship a lot based on, a lot of the automation that they have in it. It stores data, standardizes company-wide processes. It helps with marketing initiatives, and acts as a compliance tool for you as well. There was a study done, I think it was Tech Survey, asked advisors to name the type of technology investment that yielded the most significant ROI, and more than 45% of respondents named their CRM as being key to their success. So this is definitely a piece of technology that your Financial practice needs to, adopt in order to streamline client relationships and internal activity and generate and support the new leads that are coming in.
And I had a couple comments on that, but I actually wanted to start with one point of procedure. Just as you're coming up with questions, if you have something arise as we're talking about these different tools, make sure to put a question in the question box, and we'll get to that at the end when we get to the Q&A. And wanted to comment on the 3 different brands that we included on this slide. The reason why we included these 3 specific brands is that they are the ones that are most clearly compliant. Not that another solution isn't compliant, it absolutely might be, but both Redtail and Juncture are made for planners. Redtail, it sounds like I haven't seen them since they've done their facelift, but that they have done a facelift in the past year, a major version increase, and that they've worked on their workflows, and that was a bit of a problem before, and that's been streamlined now. Juncture is more, I like to compare them to Macintosh. That there's a lot of different components that they put out there. It's all A-grade stuff. It all works together. They're not quite as integration focused as Redtail is. Redtail has their stuff hanging out on the internet so that you can call them up and start to integrate if you want to. And then there's also Orion, which is a bit like Juncture, but more ad hoc, a la carte, where they have a lot of different services and you can sign up for the parts that you want and they're going to serve your firm.
Yeah, absolutely.
And actually, Kelly, let me just keep on going on with that and talk about your client portal. That one of the last steps, that your website is serving 2 purposes. That it's courting new clients, but it's also serving your current clients. As a hub, that you want to make it so that your website is the thing that you have in your email signature. You put it out there. You want your clients to just know it off the top of their head, ideally. And so one of the things that helps have that work properly and streamline those operations is integrating your client portal with especially the menu structure on your website. That up here where it has just the different navigation items, it's great to have a link to something that says log in to, FYJ Financials Client Vault, whatever have you. And that when you're with that client vault, when you're looking at a client vault, that you want that client vault to have a couple of different features. You want it to be integrated with your file system, and you want it to work with the rest of your tools. That you want it to enable coworker collaboration, make it as easy as possible for your employees to get the information that they need to work together on projects, and keep downtime where when the computers are working hard, your employees might be twiddling their thumbs, and that's not what you like to do. As a compliant individual, you do need to have these options be secure. A little bit of a plug for next week's TechTable talk is about something called the Dropbox problem. And the Dropbox problem is about the dangers of consumer-grade file sync. The companies like Dropbox and Google Drive, they're absolutely wonderful, but at the same time, there's dangers. They make it really easy to share, but they don't necessarily make it nearly as easy to get your IP back under your control. Also, as a regulated individual, that you need your files to be versioned, and they need to be versioned back to the beginning of time. Dropbox only does it for 30 days. They do it a little bit. Google Drive will do it for their G Docs, but not for your Excel stuff. And so it depends. This is one of those topics that would be great for you to just call me about. And I'd love to talk to you about just some of the different dangers or bonuses of your specific solution. ComConnect itself is a private cloud solution that enables you to back up any directory on your computer. It has these sharing file folders that I'm talking about. And it also syncs across all of your devices. If you have a phone and a couple computers, a desktop and a laptop, keeps everything organized. You want this tool to give you additional tools to enable your workflow. You need to have these sorts of services assure your data and make sure that you're protected, but at the same time, they should also provide tools so that you can run your company more effectively.
Absolutely, and definitely I would say too at this point, when we talk a lot about robo-advisors, one of the big draws that they have is their client portal. That clients have access to kind of all their information when they want, even if it's just sitting on your couch at 2 p.m. on a Saturday, you can kind of access this. So definitely if you as an advisor have a client portal that's integrated with your website, this is going to be a huge step up, very, very important in order to kind of, again, maintain that client relationship, but also show the ease and ability that you can have with your clients. So it's definitely a solution that you want to look into.
Yeah, and that there's a lot of ShareFile is one that I also like, Citrix's product. You want to have a service where it has an email add-on, especially. You want to make it so that you're not spending time with this process, that you right-click, click a button, and your workflow is enabled.
Absolutely. So I think that pretty much sums everything up for us. Just got a few questions that have come in here. One is, what are some other ways that I can look trustworthy online? This is a good question, and I think one of the things that you can kind of add to your website is these little visual cues. So I talked a little bit about, if you're published in the Wall Street Journal, definitely make sure that you have, that logo up there. These kind of signifiers are going to tell people that you are trustworthy. Another big one that I think frustrates us quite a bit is that if the copyright on your website should be up to date. If people arrive at your website and they, scroll down to the very bottom where your information footer is, and they see that, it's copyright 2011, people are going to wonder whether or not you're still in business. So making sure that copyright date is up to date is going to be a huge one to let people know that you are still, that you're contactable, that you really, are there and that you're up. And again, also, if you have a profile like Brightscope up, you can get one of their little, I think it's like logos that you can put up, and it will link viewers to your Brightscope profile. So it's definitely these little cues that sort of show people that you're online and that you're very credible.
So I wanted to give a little quick request over to Dana. I responded to this in the chat thread, but if you could just put your company's URL into the chat so we could give it a little quick look. Would love to take a look at your website and see what you've come up with.
Okay, so I think maybe that might be it for questions. We can definitely send the slides along after this done, because I know we had a bit of a slide mix up, so we'll definitely send those along to everybody.
Yeah, and also everybody will be getting a replay that the system will automatically send you a copy of this recording tomorrow morning is how I have it set up at the moment. Okay. And we're still waiting on Dana to get us a URL, but and there is a little delay to the broadcast, Dana. Yeah, how about, would you like to tell us just a little bit more about advisor websites, Kelly? What it is that you guys do, how someone who's on this call could end up using your service, and also, guys, at the same time, I'm throwing up a little offer onto the right-hand side of your screen right now, and just go ahead and click on that orange button and fill out the data sheet on the next page, and someone from Advisor Websites will be looking at how to help you with having your web presence be even better.
Yeah, thanks, Jacob. So we provide website software that is incredibly easy to use and totally customizable, particularly for the financial services industry. We really like to stay away from cookie cutter websites and want to help you stand out online with your web presence. We have a great compliance dashboard. I think that's definitely one of our big important selling features is everything is very much automated in our dashboard. So if you are, if you're having a blog like we talked about and you are creating all of this great content and you need to get it approved, it's really just as easy as a click of a button. You kind of copy and paste your content right into the dashboard. It gets sent to your compliance department. They look at it and it comes back and everything is like perfectly in order in the way for you to maintain all your content, but still within keeping of the confines of compliance. Definitely another thing is we've talked a lot about these tech tools here, and Advisor Websites actually integrates with a lot of them. So we integrate with Marketing Pro, we integrate with Vesterly and MailChimp and Hootsuite. And in terms of CRM systems, Redtail and Salesforce, and we have a lot of really great, our integrations are definitely a thing that are going to help your website.
So something I wanted to comment about that I really like about Advisor Websites, for the most part, guys, I'm a WordPress user, but I'm also a Power user. And so it's just, there's a lot of options and there's a lot that you can do with a WordPress website, but it's probably more than you need it to do in that realm of too little or too much. It's really easy to have a WordPress website be too much. And at minimum, you need a great person at your side navigating that administration panel for you, because you're supposed to be helping clients with their personal finances, not being a web developer. And so if you want something that's just, it's gonna work and it's right out of the box, that these guys have, these ladies have streamlined their workflows beautifully. And so it'll just work right in with your company processes. They've got a great solution for you and I highly recommend it. Definitely check them out.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I just wanted to talk a little bit more about what it is that I do. I'm sorry, I'm hitting the right button here on you guys. Today we're here on a TechTable talk. That's one of the things that I offer to the group. And if you aren't on the mailing list, I encourage you to sign up for that. And I'm displaying a little offer for that on this right side of your screen right now. The other thing I do is that you can join me at a one-on-one table talk where we look at your technical configuration and consult and figure out how to improve your tech solutions and enable you to have a better strategy for both your technology front as well as your online image. The last thing that I have as an option that I offer to folks is ComConnect File Sync that we saw earlier. The ComConnect is it's compliant, it's SEC, FINRA, and HIPAA compliant, and it's a private cloud service that you can actually have branded to your personal firm. That basically each employee's data is backed up to the cloud, but siloed to them, and that there's team shares that allow you to exchange data between employees. You have features where, like, if someone gets their phone stolen or they're fired, it doesn't matter. You can click a button and get your data, your IP, off of that device in about 8 seconds. And your data is the most powerful thing that you have in your company. It's your greatest asset. You want to make sure that it's in your CRM and these other locations, but everything on your hard drive, I've seen people have their hard drive just decide to not work one day. You don't want to have that happen to you and not have a backup of your data. So yeah, give that reach out to me if you'd like to learn more about that. And in conclusion, guys, this has been a wonderful TechTable talk. We're coming up to the top of the hour right now. And Kelly, I have truly enjoyed having you on this call. Sorry for the camera work at the beginning of this. I definitely wasn't expecting it. I just did not do that part right. And thank you so much for coming on this call. I've really enjoyed it and working with you on getting everything pulled together. And thank you everybody who came here today. Let me just pause for a minute. Let's take our last 5 minutes. I'm seeing Dana's website right now. Do you have the time? Can we go over and look at that real quick, Kelly? Do you mind?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, give me just a second. Infinity vision there, guys. It happens when I share my screen sometimes. But let's take a look at Dana's website. He's got a lot of what we're talking about. I'm just going to take a second and scroll down the page right now. Let everyone absorb it.
Great so far.
Yeah.
definitely that great schedule an appointment call to action. It's very important. Personalized questionnaire, fantastic, fantastic integration to use.
And then I want to click this little button right here. So this is something called Built With. If you guys would like to use this tool, this is good chance this is more tech heavy than you need, but we can tell that he got his website from GoDaddy. What are you building this on right now? Is this like a Bootstrap site? Dana, one thing I would like to say just about this, it looks good. I tried to make this white space here in this menu smaller. This is your prime real estate right here, and we don't want to have it going into white space. Maybe you can just have it come down. I'm not sure what you built this on. It looks like it's not WordPress and it's not Advisor Websites. Want to make sure you have enough words on all of your different pages that, learn more about your firm. It's there, but give me just a little bit more description as your viewer. That's a great amount of content though. Yeah. You want to make sure to have over 300 words on a given page, and that you want the page to be tuned to keywords that are going to drive people to your website. Kelly, what are your thoughts?
It definitely looks really great. Like, I'm really impressed with the layout. You've got a really, looks like easy navigation.
This is one of yours, Kelly, just to let you know.
Because it does actually look a little bit familiar to me right now. Yeah, it looks like, from what I can see here, you've definitely got the rants in this, but it's great that you've got kind of your main navigation here that there's not too many places for people to go, but it's definitely very concise. And the fact that you have an image of yourself right off the bat, like, that's so important. If people come, they know that you're a financial advisor, they know that that's where you are and that you look familiar instantly.
Oh, and by the way, guys, here's that little Hootlet link that I was talking about. It's integrated everywhere. Okay, so that's a link over. And I watched the double menu, Dana, just if you can see into your analytics, just what pages people are going to, and just making sure that the navigation's clear, because seems like this is more current clients and that this is more prospects, and so you've divided great in that front. Yeah, I don't know. We'll just either reach out to Advisor Websites and talk to Maggie or Kelly about it, or I'm happy to talk to you as well. But I love the graphics. I love your basic layout. I love where you're going with it. Just want to make sure this amount of words is a really great amount of words. If it's too few, I'm looking at the image and I'm not actually looking at the text box.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay.
All right, well, we've come to the hour. So Jacob, thank you so much for having me here. This was definitely a lot of fun to put together and do with you. And thanks everybody for kind of, putting up with our unexpected tech glitches, but we had a really great time.
Yeah, absolutely. And we didn't lose our slides in the middle, just so you know. We were up. Sorry for rattling you with that. I'm using multiple computers and phones all at once as I'm producing this with you. So, but this was wonderful, Kelly. I appreciate it so much, and thank you everybody for arriving. Take care. Make sure to sign up for the next table talk on the Dropbox problem. It's something that you need to be concerned with. And take care. Have a wonderful afternoon, a great day, and see you next time. Take care.
Bye.